What's going on over Mike Kadlick, Tayler Kyles here for CLNS Media outside of Gillette Stadium as the Patriots are set to welcome the Seattle Seahawks here on Sunday for a 1 p.m. kickoff. A quick reminder, we're powered by Game Time, and you can get in to Gillette Stadium behind us this weekend for as low as $96 on the Game Time app. So head over there today, use code CLNS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. All right, so Taylor, we're talking about this Patriots versus Seahawks game that's going to happen here this Sunday, but one of the main storylines this week has become quarterback Drake Maye, backup, who has not seen the field yet. Obviously, the number 3 overall pick, and according to CBS Sports Evan Washburn, who was a part of the broadcast last weekend in Cincinnati, Jerod Mayo told him that Maye is getting 30% of the Patriots' first-team reps during the week, along with Jacoby Brissett obviously getting the other 70, something that Washburn did indicate is different from other teams because normally the backup only gets 5%, 10% of the reps. What do you make of this? Jerod Mayo also did confirm this report today. We spoke with him on Friday afternoon. He said that that is accurate and that they're using that as part of Drake Maye's development plan. So first and foremost, off the top, what do you make of it? Do you think this is an ideal part of the situation with Maye they have? Is that enough reps? Is that too many reps for Maye to get during the week?
No, I think it makes a lot of sense because you're talking about a unique situation where obviously you do want Drake Maye to play whenever he's ready, and just in case Jacoby Brissett goes down. We saw him get injured twice in the preseason. Now, obviously, he's a very tough quarterback, kind of guy who's going to fight through injuries, but this is football. You really never know what could happen from snap to snap, and if Drake Maye had to go in there because he's someone that you think is going to be your future, and if Jacoby Brissett does play poorly, you'd like Drake Maye to have a rapport with his receivers. Now, we saw some intentional kind of shifting of personnel groupings in training camp so that Drake Maye was working with starters like Tyquan Thornton, Jalen Polk, obviously, KJ Osborne, Demario Douglas. So this effort has been made for quite some time, but I think we agreed even before we heard about how exactly practices were going to go that Drake Maye should get practice squad reps, obviously because you're going up against a great defense. That's a great learning experience where there aren't any consequences if you make mistakes, but also you do want him to have some experience with the top line, with the top receivers, so he has some kind of feel for how those guys play. Otherwise, if something were to happen or he were to earn playing time in live games, you'd be throwing him in there with minimal prep, and that's not a really fair place to put your rookie in.
The other thing you wonder about here too, Taylor, is when does Drake Maye then come in the game? You know, is it week 4? Is it week 5? Is it week 6? Is it next season? Is it late this season? And there's a little wrinkle here because the Patriots are 1-0 and looking to get 2-0, to go 2-0 this week against Seattle. So if you're winning games, do you pull Jacoby? Do you put Maye in if the team's playing well because that means it's a softer landing spot for a rookie quarterback? Are we looking too much into this with Maye, or do you think they kind of have this thing going right so far?
I definitely think we're looking a bit too much into it because I think it's a pretty simple calculus. If Jacoby Brissett is playing well, he will continue to play because his team believes in him. He has been named the starter. They're not going to pull the rug out from under him the way that's happened at other times in his career. Now, if Jacoby Brissett is playing poorly and then Drake Maye's lighting up the Patriots starting defense, that's the situation I think we all figured was going to happen at some point where as solid as Jacoby Brissett is, he's intelligent, he's a good decision maker, he protects the football. There's also plays that he may leave on the field because he's an older quarterback. He doesn't have the best deep arm. So there's going to be some plays that are left on the field that Drake Maye can obviously make himself. Now, if that happens, that's where I think we're going to see the Drake Maye era finally begin. But if Jacoby Brissett is playing poorly and Drake Maye has yet to show in practice that he's good enough to take the job, I think they stick with Jacoby Brissett because the entire point of this quarterback plan is to make sure Drake is in the best position to succeed. If you feel like he's not ready, there's no reason to throw him in there. Everybody understands this is a rebuild year. Even if the Patriots, for some reason, start off 3-0, and then at some point they hit a skid, I don't really think this team is going to care. We're all getting excited because expectations were low, but I don't think their plan is going to change regardless of if they start playing poorly and everyone starts hooting and hollering for Drake Maye. They understand that their careers are tied to Drake Maye's success. Even if fans are upset that they keep putting Jacoby Brissett out there because maybe he's playing poorly, they're not going to risk Drake Maye's development just for a few wins in a season where, frankly, I don't even think they really expect themselves to make any kind of deep playoff run.
There's also the virtual reality aspect to this, which I find incredibly fascinating. It was spoken about a little bit during training camp. Evan Lazar from Patriots.com wrote about it a little bit more extensively this week when speaking with Drake Maye, that he's been using that to try and simulate those on-field reps. Jerod Mayo today mentioned that Maye's doing that every single day behind closed doors in the Patriots facility. My question is, does that really replicate game reps when you have a live rush coming at you versus, you're looking through a VR headset or whatever? Like, I think it's cool, but I wonder what your thoughts are on it, if it actually helps simulate game reps enough, or if it's, you got to go play football to learn football.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's going to simulate the live reps. Like, just a fun little story. When I was in high school, I was the backup punter. In practice, man, I could boot that thing 70 yards if I wanted to. As soon as I was in a game at the end, they were like, you know what, Taylor, go out there, actually try to punt. The second that live rush came at me, I was scared to the dickens. I think that thing went about 4 yards. Now, I clearly never made it to the NFL, but the point is, when you're actually, I guess that's true in my own little way, but the point is, when that live rush is coming, nothing can simulate it. You get that fight or flight a little bit, but NFL quarterbacks are very good at managing that. But even still, for these rookies, you want to be able to see the speed of the NFL game while also being under pressure. And for Drake Maye, yeah, in practice, I think he's going to get a little bit of that, but I think the VR is more about understanding how you're going to attack different coverages. That's really the biggest advantage. It's like playing Madden. Like, no, even if the controller shakes, honestly, that does make me a little jumpy when that's when my bad decision-making comes out. But, it's not the same stimulation, but you're still able to see, okay, the coverage is doing this. This is where my options are. Drake Maye mentioned he can look at what the defense has put on tape that they're facing and then put different plays from their offense in to see how things work out. And I know Jaden Daniels credited his big leap when he was at LSU to his virtual reality training because it helped him process defenses. That, I think, is going to be the biggest advantage for Drake, where obviously having that fire in your face is very different, but being able to see how these coverages are going to work, how especially like with the Patriots front and the Seahawks have a lot of different things they can show, he can see the different variations and what his answers are. So, Alex Van Pelt and TC McCartney always mention there's problems, he's going to need the answers. That just gives him a bit more of a step up if he didn't have the resource.
I think so too. I think it's so much, the live rush is one thing, but it's so much different seeing it from the quarterback's eyes behind the offensive line, seeing the coverages roll in front of you, seeing, you look to your left, you look to your right, is he in press, is he in man, is he in zone, etc. Then just watching it on film where, you kind of see the all-22 in the shell, and that works when you know what it looks like behind center, but to actually be able to see that in the VR thing, I think it's super cool, and I think it's probably helpful, at least for, again, like we mentioned, the shells and the blitzes and where things are coming and where your answers are and stuff like that. So definitely an interesting aspect to that. Okay, finally, Tayler. The 70-30 split. Seems like a good thing for Drake Maye, number 3 pick. You want to get him as many reps as possible to have him ready, not only to go in case of, God forbid, injury, but when he's eventually ready and you want to make him your starter. Is 70% of the reps enough for Jacoby Brissett with this first-team offense? Because the other note that we mentioned, starters are usually getting 90-95% of reps. So is that enough Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in a game week, 70% for Jacoby to get in order to be ready on Sunday?
It's hard to say because we barely saw them pass last weekend, and obviously there were some errant throws, some missed opportunities. Jerod Mayo even mentioned specifically he needs this offense to be better in the red zone, said that was a point of emphasis during the week. I think this will be a week where we have a better idea of where the chemistry is with him and his receivers. Now, obviously, 70%, like you mentioned, that's about 20-25% less than most starting quarterbacks get. Less than ideal, but I also think that Jacoby has such a good understanding of this offense. He knows where the ball needs to go. That, I think, will help a little bit with that process. But you also need to know how your different receivers run routes, where you expect them to be, and work out that kind of chemistry, which they did already start in training camp. But, again, I think this week will be a very good litmus test against the Seahawks defense with a lot of talent, a lot of experience, and a lot of veteran guys who aren't going to make it easy for the Patriots to be one-dimensional the way they were last week in Cincinnati.
Absolutely. All right, that's the quarterback situation here. But right now, it remains Jacoby Brissett on Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks here at Gillette Stadium at 1 p.m. We'll be here for CLNS Media, myself and Tayler Kyles, so make sure you follow along, rate, review, subscribe, like this video on YouTube, subscribe to Patriots Press Pass, and read all of our written work over at clnsmedia.com.
Support us and sign up at Prize Picks. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS or download the app today and use code CLNS and get $50 instantly when you play $5.